paving the way for Fulton Sheen's beatification cause was one Illinois family's miracle. A miracle Pope Francis approved in 2019 and is attributed to Fulton Sheen's intercession. Bonnie Engstrom is the mother in that Illinois family. She joins us now. Bonnie, thank you so much for joining us on this exciting week. Your family's miracle story redeemed what I imagine was a terribly frightening day for you. Can you take us back to 2010 and tell us about the miracle that happened 61 minutes after your son James was born?
Yes. So my son was born at home. He was a stillborn, absolutely no sign of life. And he was taken by ambulance to our local hospital. And while he was at home, while he was in the ambulance, and while he was at the hospital in the emergency room, he did not have a pulse for that entire time. And right as the medical team was ready to call time of death, all hands were off. And at that moment, his heart started to beat again, and it never stopped after that.
Praise God. And Bonnie, what prompted you and your husband to be calling on Fulton Sheen's intercession during that terrifying hour?
So we had started getting to know Fulton Sheen and growing in our devotion to him while I was pregnant with James. And during that pregnancy, we had decided to name our son after him. He's James Fulton, and to really put him under his patronage. And so the habit of calling on Fulton Sheen's prayers for my son was already built during the pregnancy. And in that time of crisis, I was in a state of shock. I didn't really know what to do, but I remember calling on Fulton Sheen, just saying his name, Fulton Sheen, Fulton Sheen, Fulton Sheen.
And tell us, 15 years later, how is James doing today?
He's great. He's a freshman in high school. He is doing really well. He loves music. He's in an art class that he's really enjoying. He was the manager for my husband is the high school freshman football coach. And so he was the manager and water boy for that, and just had a blast chatting up the cheerleaders and the football players. And he's a great kid, hardworking, funny. We love him. We're so grateful.
Oh my goodness. And I mean, there's no permanent damage from that 61 minutes of no breath?
I mean, nothing that we can tell. James has actually lived, he has, you can be cured of cancer and still have diabetes, right? And so James does have other medical issues, and he has had some medical issues along the way, but nothing that we can pin back and say, this is happening because of this. His follow-up MRI when he was a baby was completely clear. His initial MRI, the first 24 hours of his life, showed extensive brain damage. And the follow-up one was perfectly clear.
And I mean, no medical explanation for what happened on that day. It's incredible. And Bonnie, as you know, Fulton Sheen's beatification cause was originally planned to take place back in 2019. It faced some challenges. Now here we are, it's 2026, and it's finally moving forward. What have these past 6+ years been like for you, Bonnie, as we've waited for this news? And what was your reaction when you learned that the cause is going ahead?
So initially, I will be honest, we were frustrated. We were disappointed. And I think as things in the church just kind of continued to progress, and time went by, we realized, we trust in Jesus and he's got it in control. And so we were able to really lean into that and kind of move past the initial disappointment. And right now we are so excited. When I first found out, when I got the phone call that the beatification was going to move forward, I literally laughed out loud with joy. We're so happy about it.
Your joy is contagious, Bonnie, and it really is all in God's perfect timing. I mean, do you have any reflections about how, because of this timing, now the Illinois-born Sheen will be beatified during the pontificate of our Illinois-born Pope Leo XIV, and likely happening this year, the same year the U.S. celebrates its 250th anniversary?
I know, and that is the exact kind of thing that in 2019, none of that would have been on our radar, And so it just shows how God's perfect timing really is so perfect. Like, no one could have planned that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That was on no one's bingo card, but it makes it even sweeter.
And now, as we're preparing for the beatification, what are your thoughts on how your son's birth will forever be linked to the story of someone on the path towards sainthood?
That is incredibly humbling. It is something that Travis and I, Travis is my husband, we try to really appreciate that in all of church history, our family has a little footnote in it, in a very special way. And it's remarkable. We don't feel like we deserve it, but we are really, really grateful to be along for the ride and to be able to be part of it. It is such an honor and it's such a joyful thing.
And you're there in the Diocese of Peoria, Illinois, right? You have that another connection there to Fulton Sheen. Bonnie, as someone who has a devotion to Venerable Fulton Sheen, soon to be blessed, what do you think his greatest legacy is? What can we all learn from his witness?
So for me personally, there's two things. First, he was born in a little town, grew up in Peoria, in the middle of the Middle West, right? And I love that this guy from kind of the middle of nowhere, he stayed true to what God was calling him to do, and he was able to do great things. And I mean, as someone from the same area, that gives me hope, right? But also in a very personal way, his witness of the power of the Eucharist is something that has really formed my marriage, my family life, myself as a mother, my devotional life. I am so grateful for Fulton Sheen's witness to the just our Lord in the Blessed Sacrament. That has been such a beautiful thing for me.
Amen. Bonnie Engstrom, thank you so much for your witness to the faith and for sharing your time and your family story with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.